Hey guys, a bit of an interesting little video here, but I wanted to talk about this because if any of you guys haven't seen the video on whatculture.com, they talked about how Warner Brothers games and the companies they own are technically on the auction block right now, and that's because AT&T, the affiliate of them, is like $100 million or something odd in debt, and they're trying to find means to make amends, and selling off WB Games and their studios could get them a fair chunk of change, which from a business perspective isn't a bad idea, of course, but it's kind of who the three companies in question are that might get it. Now, this poses two different issues. The first being that it's not the titles and the licenses that are on the block. It's the companies. So NetherRealm, Monolith, Rocksteady, Avalanche, the guys who make the Lego games. They're all up for grabs. The titles, the licenses that they're playing with, though, Mortal Kombat, um, Lego, Lord of the Rings, all those aren't. But it's a very similar situation to kind of what LucasArts did with Star Wars a long time ago. If you remember, back in the day when we were getting so many Star Wars games a year instead of the meager one that's not great but okay, but sometimes okay, like we have right now with EA, there actually was a great kind of business tactic that LucasArts would make money regardless from the title, but they would let other developers get to play around with their title. Like, look at Raven Studios. They made some of the best Star Wars games ever. Pandemic Studios got to. And that's something that could benefit these companies. However, the only problem is the three who are on the block for possibly buying it. It's EA, Activision, and Take-Two. Now, it's kind of interesting considering where the companies that used to play with stuff like Star Wars, and even in fact some of the titles that Warner Brothers has, the licenses that Warner Brothers has, have gone to. Some of them have gone to Activision, some of them have gone to EA. I don't know of any that went to Take-Two. But first off, for EA, it'd be interesting to see EA have Batman, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings back, because they used to a long time ago. There's the potential that they could maybe do something, but you know that they would try and do some microtransaction or some sort of paywall garbage, because that's what they're known for, right? And the thing with EA2 is they're no better than Warner Brothers Studios. You saw what they did. You saw what they did with with Mortal Kombat 11. Apparently the tower was completely impossible to be beaten unless you put money into it, to the point where there was such outcry that NetherRealm changed it. But Warner Brothers didn't care. They did the same garbage with Shadow of War years prior. They potentially destroyed a very, very great game with some money, some grubby money tactics. It's still a good game in my opinion. I love Shadow of War, but I don't pass it off on EA to do some things. But the thing is EA doesn't do with their license like they used to. I don't see them. They haven't taken advantage of the Star Wars, nowhere near to the extent that I thought they would. They've just focused on what makes them money, like Galaxy of Heroes and Battlefront 2, which blew up in their face. But I don't know. I don't know what they would do, because they have all these little affiliate companies, but they just kind of conglomerate them into nothing, which is why I actually think that Activision might be the better company, because Activision could break off some of their studios, and instead of just making Call of Duty games every year, maybe they have enough staff members now that they could do it. They could bridge off some of these titles and make off their own games. Now, do quote me though. Don't quote me on it. Take that part back. But it's a gamble, because Activision is just a CD. Like, all they do now is just make freaking Call of Duty games. If they make anything else now, they just put all their companies into all their developers into one basket, and they just have them make another Call of Duty game every year. So there's the potential that they could, because I would love to see Raven Studios make something again. It's one of my favorite gaming developers of all time, and they've gotten the dirty stick. They're barely on life support with just being DLC makers for Call of Duty games, but they could be allowed to do something again. And then there's Take-Two, which I don't know too much about Take-Two other than that they've made a gajillion dollars off of GTA Online. So I'm not entirely in the privy of knowing what I could say about them because I don't have all the information that I could to give a really good opinion of it. But either way, they're all playing Warner Brothers games. All the studios are essentially playing Russian roulette with a clip-loaded handgun, because no way is either one of these decisions going to be beneficial for them. It's going to be beneficial for whoever takes them, but it's the degree of what happens with them that will lead to whether it would be a good partnership or a horrible partnership, or is the gun still in my mouth sort of partnership. So I'm curious to see what you guys have to think. Part of me wants it to go to EA, but they have not done anything to prove it. Neither is Activision, neither is Take-Two, but it's kind of like, where do you let it land, right? Where do you want it to land? And EA did do good things with Lord of the Rings, with Harry Potter. Well, not the end of Harry Potter. I'm talking about the early Harry Potter games. Chamber of Secrets is still one of my favorite games of all time. And then they even did a decent Batman game. They did Batman Begins. They were going to make a Dark Knight, but the company that was making it just could never do it, and there was a lot of problems. There's actually really cool documentaries actually about the development of that game if you ever look them up. But yeah, so just kind of curious as to what you guys think. It's gonna suck because I fear Rocksteady's gonna die from this, and I've been waiting for Rocksteady to make another game since Arkham Knight, which is kind of bizarre. They haven't had anything for 5 years. Like, Arkham Knight was 5 years ago. So, and the DLC sucked. So, I don't know. Anyways, that's all from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, and if you're interested in more, subscribe. And like I said, give me your thoughts, and what do you think? That's all we can do.